This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Yes, it's all thanks to TCL 2K and Bet with Joel. Joel and Hammer with you as always. Hammer, how you going?
Very well. Ready for a big week. The NBL starts. Lots happening in the NBA.
And the WNBL as well. Now, we ran out of time last week, so let's get straight in the spotlight. Well, the WNBL season tips off in just 3 days, nights time.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Thursday with Perth taking on Adelaide. Now, last season was seriously disrupted due to COVID. They played the bubble up in Queensland. No imports in the league.
Though.
Oh, it was great. It was great, but it feels like it's going to another level this season.
Oh, it does. I'm anxious. I'm a bit nervous, unsure, excited at the same time. We play Sundays, so young team. Just can't wait to get stuck in.
No, really excited to see how they go. In terms of the league as a whole, who should we be looking out for? Who are the teams that are looking like they're going to be the biggest threats?
So much more talent this year. It really is incredible. Melbourne Boomers, they've put together an unbelievable roster, and obviously with Ezzy and Kayla, but they've got two incredible imports coming back from the WNBA. Obviously with Lindsay Allen, we've seen her before, but Tiffany Mitchell, she's a superstar. So they're going to be tough. And Perth have got like the #1 pick in the WNBA from a few years ago with Jackie Young. Mabry's a superstar. I think she might have had a 30-point game in the WNBA. And word has it that Sammy Wickham's going to sign there as well. And if they do that, that's 3 guards that are absolute superstars in the WNBA.
Yeah, well, Sammy Whitcomb basically is as good as any of the other imports, isn't she? But she comes in as an Aussie.
She's incredible. The season she had last year, and I think we saw glimpses of it with the Opals, and, I love her game. They're going to be really tough. But then you look at teams like Townsville are going to be great again with Nicholson. Billings could be the #1 import in the whole competition. I think she's going to be a star, the big import. So, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Now, you guys are playing against Canberra on Sunday. They've also brought in a couple of imports. They're going to look quite different to what they did last year. Monique Sykes?
She's a gun. She averaged about 10 points a game for LA in the WNBA. So she's good, but she's also one of the top 10 defenders in that league as well. So she's going to be tough, and Griffin and these girls. So they've won 2 out of the last 3 championships. So welcome to the league. You're playing against veterans, and, it's going to be a good test for us.
You mentioned Monique Billings as well up in Townsville. Really complimentary player to someone like Lauren Nicholson, who is the star up there, really. What about some of the other Aussies? Steph Talbot, last season's MVP.
Yeah.
They're back.
Well, and Alana Smith as well, back from the WNBA, her first minutes in the WNBL, and they've got 2 WNBA point guards, point guard and a big, 2 imports. So, yeah, everywhere you look, you just know that's going to be a tough league. Even Bendigo last year didn't win a game, and then you put Leilani Mitchell in there and some of those pickups, and every game's going to be really difficult to be able to win. So we're ready for the challenge, though. I think we're selected to finish last, so only upwards for us.
Well, exactly right. And by all accounts, you've got some secret weapons on your team. Who should the fans be looking out for from the Flames?
Well, Chelsea Dunn, she was a 5th pick in the draft, but young, inexperienced, and Stephanie Watts as well. I think she's going to be really good. And we've got the best Froling,
And the best heel.
Yeah.
My lads
well, that's not hard, but so they're all good kids. They've worked really hard, been really positive environment, and just can't wait to get out there.
Really excited for you, but really excited for everyone out there to see the WNBL and see just how good these players are.
One of the best leagues in the world. It's
going to be great. All right, time now for our TCL starting 5. All right, my run sheet, Hammer, says Cotton without Gleeson.
Go on, say what you think when you ask that question.
I don't even know what that means.
It means, will Cotton be the same player as he was in the system from Trevor Gleeson? And it's a really good question.
That's not a good question. Of course he is.
No, Cotton is a superstar. He's the best player in the competition. But I tell you what Trevor Gleeson did. He ran a system around Cotton that was incredible. They were so well drilled. He was the first priority. They didn't have it. They ran really good counters. And I'm not doubting that Cotton's going to be a superstar and potentially still the best player.
Is there any indication so far in the preseason under Scott Morrison that Cotton is not going to excel in the way that he has? Well, so then you've got nothing to go on.
No, it's a fair question. What it is saying that there's been a system in place for a long time that I really respect.
But if you
Don't roll your eyes at me.
If you haven't watched them, then how do you know that what did we say we're going to call him? Skoko?
I don't know. Whatever.
Hasn't got a system in place to still
I didn't say that
Cotton?
he hasn't got it. It's the biggest question of whether he's going to have that same system to put around Cotton. Now, Cotton's a superstar. Don't get me wrong.
I'm scrubbing out.
No, that is a legitimate question, and we will see as the season goes on. I'm not sure that he will get as many easy points or be in the same system as what Trevor Gleeson created.
All right,
we'll see.
I think valid question. Fine.
Okay.
I just don't think that.
Okay.
Anyway, okay.
Maybe you're right.
We're moving on. LeBron James and the Lakers.
Yeah. You
really
love that system too, do you?
Really, well, that's a system that seriously has some issues.
Okay, that's good.
How on earth do they get out of this rut that they're in? Really?
I just think they were doomed from the start because I think LeBron's brought some of his mates in that weren't good fits. I mean, I just didn't think Westbrook was going to be a fit for them. LeBron's such a high IQ player and Westbrook's not. And I just don't think that with the age of what they've got rid of some players and some pieces to be able to build with. And this is, even though he's a superstar, he's not a GM. Leave the GM to be able to do their work. Yeah, recruit players that they want you to recruit, but don't build the team. And I don't think they get out.
He's been doing that his whole career, though, and it's worked.
To this extent?
Maybe not quite to this extent, but yes, he's had a hand in...
Like what?
Building Cleveland.
Yep.
I don't know. Anyway, they're, 10 and 11 on the season they're playing today as well. I don't think they're completely doomed.
I just don't think the pieces they've got blend enough to be able to win long term.
No, fair enough. You'd hate to see him go out badly, though.
He's not going to go out. I mean, he's still going to play for a few more years.
True.
So they'll rebuild. They'll have to shuffle, but they need to get some younger players in my mind.
Let's bring it back to the NBL. JLA has had a pretty good pre-season with Melbourne United.
Yep.
Do you think he's got what it takes to be a fully fledged centre in the NBL this season?
Yeah, I do. I think he showed that last year. I'm not really taking too much into the pre-season and his numbers, but I think he showed last year. We know he's a score-first big. As soon as it goes in, it's very rarely coming back out. But he's got, skills, great skills to be able to play inside and out. He's got terrific length and athleticism. And there's going to be a lot more opportunities for him. But he has to handle that as well. Without the big fella they lost to the NBA in Landale. So, there's going to be a lot more schemes to be able to stop him as well.
Yeah, no, very true. Although I must say, Ariel Hukporti, who's coming in off the bench, the German next star, has been really, really impressive. I think that those two will work quite well together and give each other, a little bit of rest at the same time. Congratulations to the Adelaide 36ers, pre-season Blitz Cup winners.
Yeah, don't worry about all that. I'm more happy for CJ. Like CJ's, I'm happy, one, that they've given him the job. He's done his time, his apprenticeship, and now the opportunity to be able to do it and have early success is great. I hope they continue to run with it. I'm not sure they will.
Five wins in a row is obviously excellent. It's great for the confidence. I guess you question how they then react when they lose a game in the regular season. What happens to the dynamic of the group? And as you say, as these teams sort of get serious.
Well, and how much are people playing to win right now? It's probably easier for a young or a new coach to go in and try and win everything, which he should. That's what he should do. But other teams probably aren't playing with that mentality that are more established. And, so question marks, no doubt. But it's still positive as well. Like winning breeds winning. So they'll take that confidence. I'm not sure they'll win in the first round, but
I quite like Adelaide.
Okay, we'll see when it comes to the tipping whether you like them.
They weren't in my top four, and I've tipped against them. But I'm just saying, like, as an Adelaide fan, I'm quietly confident. Todd Withers was pretty impressive their last couple of preseason games.
Yep.
Dusty Hunters can shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
He'd give it to you, I reckon. from,
Well, we'll
from the
see. I
three?
might have to
I think we should.
have one of my sessions with him.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
definitely. All right, finally, do you know the name Antonio Van Dunham?
Well, I don't, but I know who we're talking about. I love this bloke.
He's great, isn't he?
How
The mop
good.
guy. The mop guy.
See, have a look. If you want passion and enthusiasm to do your job and do it well, take a leaf out of this bloke's book.
So this went viral sort of over the past week, but the guy has been doing it for 22
How's
years
that for an exit?
in African basketball. I love it. It's great. Combination of I guess, mopping, dancing, a bit of gymnastics. He is living his best life.
Yeah, I think we need to encourage our floor wipers, which I was for the Nunawading inspectors back in the day.
Okay.
But I certainly didn't have those.
I would love to. I
was
would love
very
to
slow
see you try and
getting out there.
move like he does.
And I didn't have the enthusiasm too, trying to be too cool. That guy's not.
I've just made myself laugh. Sorry. Right, let's move on.
Glad you liked it.
Sorry. Well, this week, thanks to 2K, we are going in depth with Boomers big man and Illawarra Hawk, Duop Reath. Duop, thank you so much for joining us here on the Basketball Show. Now, obviously, your last preseason game was cancelled due to COVID, but you've had a couple under your belt now. How are you feeling ahead of the season?
I'm feeling good. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. We're feeling good as a team so far with the 2 games that we had. We just want to work on ourselves right now. We just want to be the best that we can and get ready for the season. So, we're just excited. Again, we're just working on ourselves right now, especially at the beginning of the season. We just want to make sure that we're coming in to the best, to the best form that we can be in.
Well, Duop, first of all, congratulations for your success with the Boomers. We had Joe Ingles on last week. We said the same. We were so proud of you guys. So well done on that. What's the biggest thing you learnt from Gorge during that campaign and now coming back with the Hawks?
The biggest thing that I really took from the whole Boomers campaign was just having high expectations, and being able to live up to it, and try to just set high expectations and just try to follow along with it. And just seeing guys, especially like the older guys like Joe, Patty, and Daly, just installing it to the team at an early stage that, this is gold vibes only here. And our main objective is to win a gold medal. So seeing that from them and even seeing Gorge just emphasize that throughout the whole campaign was really something that I just learned, just try to just make sure you put them high expectations up there.
Just very quickly, before we move on, where do you keep your bronze medal?
It's back in Perth. It's with my family. I think it's a safer place back there.
Fair enough. You're not going to lose it. We think Gorge keeps his in his bum bag, don't we?
I think he did. What was in that, by the way?
Keeps a lot in there. Keep a lot of stuff in there.
Does he?
Yeah.
It's not a fashion statement. You didn't have a word to him? Say, come on, Gorge, cut it out.
It's a fashion statement too. It looked good on him.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said last week. Thank you.
Please.
Outnumbered.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Duop, it's obviously really important, or it's an asset for a big like yourself to be able to be versatile and shoot from deep. Is that a part of your game that comes naturally, or is it something that you've really had to focus on to make happen out there?
I think it's something that just comes naturally. I've always been able to shoot the ball since coming up, and learning how to play basketball. The lady that kind of just told me how to play basketball, she always just told me that, you need a skill set, you need to be able to dribble, you need to be able to shoot, if you're going to play for a long time. But so just growing up and learning that, I think it's just something that's been stuck with me since.
Now, little birdie told me that you like bowls, and I thought, oh, there you go. I could see you on a Sunday afternoon with me, barefoot, a couple of beers as well. I could imagine Gorge doing the same thing. But then I learned it's 10-pin bowling, mate. Is that your game?
Oh, yeah, bowling, yeah. I think I'm very good at it.
Well, what's your highest score?
I can get up to like 160s, 170s on a bad day.
Right.
I've got no idea if I should be impressed by that. Is that
I'm
a good
impressed.
score? I don't know anything about bowling.
Pretty good score.
Okay.
Yeah. This season, tell me why you think you'll win the championship.
The reason why I think we could win the championship, I just think that, first of all, I hope everybody stay healthy. We just got to stay healthy and just try to just be the best team that we can be. If we do that, I think that the rest will take care of itself.
Awesome, Duop. Well, best of luck for the season. We can't wait to see you guys out there. Don't beat up on my Adelaide 36ers this week too much, please. And hopefully we can get you on the show again soon.
Definitely. See you guys soon.
Good on you, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, be good one. Thank you.
Breaking all the big news in basketball with Matt Logue.
It is great to have Matty in the studio with us this week as well. How are we?
Thank you for having me, guys. It's an honour.
I know, this post-COVID world almost, touch wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I know, we'll get to that in a second. Now, the season hasn't even started. There is an import on ice already, surely not.
Yeah, I got a lot of messages about this shush in my column this morning. It's created a few waves already, and we can reveal here on the basketball show that it's veteran New Zealand Breakers point guard Peyton Seaver. He has basically been told your job's on the line, you've got to land your shots, or you could be going home.
So is this through, just his form, lack of confidence, doesn't really fit? And do we think that this tap on the shoulder is after they've already got someone coming or they're close or...
Well, as you know, Shane, I guess in most sports, with imports, and if they're going to get rid of them, they need someone.
Yep.
I'm not sure how far advanced it is, but the word that I'm getting, it's definitely, it's a fair tap. It's a fair warning that what we've seen so far in the Blitz from Peyton is not good enough. He's a guy that's, he's won 2 championships in Europe, in Germany.
With high expectations.
Yeah, huge expectations. But unfortunately had a breakout game against the Sydney Kings, 18 points. But against a New Zealand break, he was on the court against New Zealand break, against Melbourne United rather. He was on the court for 19 minutes and duck egg.
All right,
we'll 6 points in another game. So imports, they need more.
We'll see how that one plays out. Joe Chi has been over playing with China. Had a bit of an injury scare though.
Yeah, he had a big game for China. They smashed Japan and Joe dominated. 24 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks. He was terrific, but he fell awkwardly and an ankle injury. I know Phoenix staff were really nervous. They were shaking your head. It's not good. But I've spoken to the Phoenix today, and Tommy Greer, he said, I was worried. He said, but he thinks he'll be okay for Saturday. That's if Saturday goes ahead at this point.
Well, that's good news because he's going to be a star.
Oh, yeah, he's huge. And you listen to someone like Brian Gorge talk about Joe and how excited he is to have him in our league, given Gorge's China connections, and it's a huge boost for the league. Yeah.
You alluded to it just then, the fact that Saturday may not go ahead.
Yeah.
COVID's already causing havoc in the league. What can you tell us?
Well, obviously, we've seen with the negative test for the Illawarra Hawks. Well, it's now progressed where Saturday's game between the New Zealand Breakers and the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix is in doubt because of COVID within the Breakers ranks. Coach Dan Chamir and another senior members of their travelling squad have picked up COVID. So confirmed. So that's huge news. The poor old NBL trying to start the season, and Matt Walsh is his preference would be for that game on Saturday to be delayed till next week until December 10. Watch this space. The NBL would be frantically working.
It's a fair case too, though, isn't it? Without your head coach,
I think so.
To be able to have some sort of movement to put that back. Do you think it'll happen?
I think it will. I think it will. I think they'll just have to run with it. It would be hard to delay that game given things locked in. We've seen TV and things like that. And I think assistant coaches will just have to get on and do it. We've seen coaches in the past during lockdown do their coaching via Zoom. So we've seen that with Scott Morrison at the Perth Wildcats. He had to do most of his pre-season via Zoom. So
sets a precedent though, doesn't it? Because if a superstar, if Chris Golding can't play it, then they just play on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the worry. Let's keep things moving. You've caught up with one of Australia's favourite sons, Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah, he was terrific. It was 2 a.m. in the morning, Saturday morning, Australian time, so I was a bit weary, but it was worth it. He's just so well-spoken and passionate about his game and the Australian game, and he actually revealed that he's in the Boomers group chat. He's actually speaking to Duop Reath, and we've seen Duop on the show earlier, and he said it's just inspired him a bit. He goes, I'm actually going to take notice of the NBL this season. I want to see how Duop goes. I want to see how Chris goes. I want to see how Nathan Sobey goes. And I said to him, mate, well, I know you got a long time in the NBA to go. I said, but would you come back here and play? And he said, if he comes back, the NBL's his first preference if he wants to play overseas once his NBA career's over. So I think that's great. It's a long way down the track, but it says a lot that people like Matisse Thybulle are tuning into the NBL because there's invested interest, not only for fans but for the players as well.
Yep.
Yeah, no, great. And before we let you go, you have a list of the top 20 players in the NBL. We've been through this off camera. I already don't
I
like
hope you
it.
got thick skin, mate, because you know people are going to come for you everywhere.
I'll be turning the DMs off
How
tomorrow.
tough was that to put together?
It's difficult because it's how do you judge it, and it's multifaceted. So I'm judging it on players who are been in the league, players who are coming into the league. It's who are at the moment the best 20 players in the NBL, and it's a tough gig. And I'll cop it, but that's part of the fun.
Can we have a little bit of a teaser? Who's the best player not in that top 20 you reckon you're going to cop it for?
Probably Big Joe Lawal Achul. He's not in the top 20, but I'm confident with that. The players ahead of him deserve to be there, but it's opinion.
Can we talk about this again in 3 weeks' time?
Yeah, we'll
totally
talk next
disagree.
week, and I reckon it'll cause good debate though, and that's what the NBL needs.
It is time to go crystal gazing now as we look ahead to the first week of the NBL. We'll bring in Derek Rucker, as we always do here on the Basketball Show. D-Ruck, good to see you. Now it's the Jack Jumpers and Bullets up first. You've got 24 seconds on the shot clock. Who you got?
Joe, this is pretty easy. They played in the preseason, and the Bullets had 24 turnovers in a game against the Jack Jumpers and still beat them easily by 10 points. So I know my State Bank Arena is going to be packed for this game, Shane, but all they can bank on is the Jack Jumpers taking home an L. Bullets by at least 15 in this one. Too much on the perimeter for the Jack Jumpers. Sobey and those guys are going to go to absolute work.
I'd say that's the general consensus here as well. All right, Maddie, coming to you with the next one. Wildcats hosting Adelaide.
Yeah, Joe, I think your Adelaide 36ers, while they were good in the preseason, taking home the cup, I'm just not sure about this one. I think the Perth Wildcats, led by Bryce Cotton and Vic Law, I think that combination this year is going to be one of the best in the NBL, arguably the best 1-2 punch. And I think while Adelaide will be up for it and they'll be competitive, and that those fans over there very passionate, but I'm just not sure they can get the job done against Perth. Even though I think it'll be a bit of a new era for the Wildcats with their new coach Scott Morrison, and it may take some time.
All right, time's up there. Perfect. Phoenix and the Breakers next, Hammer.
Well, I've gone for Phoenix. I think they're going to be a top 4 team. They're a little bit more mature. They've had this nucleus together now for a season. And I think Ryan Broekhoff is going to be the most improved player in the competition. Not because he's coming from a low level, but last year he had no preseason, hadn't played in the NBA for a long period of time. I think he's going to dominate. Great teammate, and he's a star. I think they'll be too strong.
He was good in their last preseason game against Melbourne. Now, Derek, coming back to you, Adelaide are hosting the Illawarra Hawks. Do you think they'll bounce back from their first game against Perth?
Wow, I get the first tough one of the week. Joe, I don't know. I think Adelaide, look, they will have played and lost in Perth. I agree with Matt there. But look, I think they're going to bounce back strong. They played pretty well in the preseason Blitz tournament, although I don't give a lot of merit to that event, but I think in front of their home crowd, they won't want to go 0-2. I don't think Illawarra are going to quite have it all together. So I got Adelaide winning this one by about 7, Joe.
Okay, Hammer, you're not happy with that one at all. Maddie, I'm coming to you now. A massive game on Sunday.
Huge.
Sydney against Melbourne United. Who's winning?
I'm going to stir Shane up here and we'll get a bit of banter going. I honestly think Melbourne United can do this. I think it can be a bit of an ambush. I think there'll be a lot of excitement around the King.
An ambush?
Yeah, I think Dean Vickerman will have his charges locked in on this, and I think there's been a lot of hype around the Kings. They're supposed to be championship favourites according to some pundits, and I think Melbourne United, their experience, I know they've lost a lot of players, the Landale and the Hobsons, but I think Golding, I think Dellavedova is going to be a real find. Okay, he's not going to potentially score your big points, but I think his assist work and his leadership, and I think United can get the job done, particularly with the Kings missing a few players on the injury list.
All right, there you
Shane's
go.
not agreeing. That's all good.
Controversial, Hammer. Thoughts?
No, I think the Kings will be too strong, but I agree with everything you're saying about Matthew Dellavedova. He's just a culture guy. He's tough. His defensive work's going to be exceptional, but I still think the Kings are probably going to be a little bit too strong in front of about 12,000 people.
All right, final game of the season, the Wildcats and Cairns. I even need to bother asking you?
No, you don't. Well, let's just move on. No, I think Perth are going to be too strong. Big crowd, vocal crowd. They're going to be excited. for the NBL season to happen. And I think Bryce Cotton's a superstar. He's going to make things happen. I think Victor Law, as you said, Matt's going to be a great pickup for them. They're going to be too strong. Cairns are going to find it difficult to win too many games on the road, full stop, let alone win at this stage of the season. They'll be pumped.
All right, there you go. We'll put the tips up on socials throughout the week as well, and we'll keep tabs throughout the season.
Yes, we will. We will keep tabs, Joe.
Time for Points Made. D-Ruck is still with us as well. Now, I want to ask you guys about the Warriors. They're 18-2 on the season. That is just incredible. Klay Thompson is heading to the G League as he sort of begins his return back to the Warriors NBA side. My question is, and Derek, I'll come to you first. Are you concerned at all that by putting him into that team, it's sort of messing with the vibe that they've got at the moment, because they seem unstoppable?
Yeah, they look great, don't they, Joe? And I'm not too worried about Klay Thompson returning back into the Warriors lineup. I don't think he'll return as a starter. I think that may be a concern. But if he's going to be used sparingly and smartly coming off the bench, he's such a low maintenance offensive weapon that I don't think it's going to be disruptive at all. Now, look, there's some guys that are getting some shine right now, like Poole. Wiggins is playing very good basketball. They've been getting contributions from a number of guys. Those players have to realize that they're going to lose a few minutes and probably lose some opportunities. But as long as number 30 is running around out there, Shane, everything is going to be just fine. And you know there's nothing like bringing a low-maintenance scorer like Klay Thompson back into the lineup, and they can just sail on with no problems.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think they'll take half a step backwards when he first comes, because you've got to make some adjustments. Those guys that are in rhythm right now understand their roles. They really are rolling, but they will have to adjust with a superstar coming back in. The point you make, I think, is valid. He's low maintenance. I think he had 60 points on like less than 10 dribbles or some crazy thing like that. So he doesn't dribble a ball and take a lot of usage, but we know he's deadly. He's going to take some time, though. You can't sit out this long and then just come on and expect to be able to hit the ground running. I think going through the G League's good, and they'll find a way to be able to implement it pretty well.
What do you mean by half a step back, though? You're kind of waffling here. I'm not sure if you're down with me or if you're not down with me. Or do you think they're going to lose some games as a result of Klay?
Yeah, I do. I think they'll
Really?
be half a step back. I think that it'll take a little bit of an adjustment, but in the bigger picture, then he's critical if they're going to win that championship. So those guys that are rolling at the moment might be better in the short term, just until he finds his feet. It's going to take a little bit of time for him before he can consistently make the sort of shots that he was making before he sat out this long period of time.
But some of this is going to come down to Steve Kerr and how he plays it, okay? Because if I'm coach, I want to keep winning. Do you think he's willing to salvage some games, some certain wins, just to get Klay extra burn? I don't think he'll be willing to.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the delicate sort of integration of him coming back into the lineup. I don't think there'll be any problem with egos. Those guys that are doing really well now know that Klay Thompson's coming back. That's only a matter of time. It's just how he balances, how much court time at the start. You know, we know that, give him 20 games or something and he's going to be back to where he was just, such a weapon.
It's a daunting prospect thinking about the Warriors as they are now, adding Klay into the mix. Now, guys, we'll move on. I want to ask you about the NBL Blitz. It's obviously just wrapped up. We're heading into the first round of the season. Are there any sort of key takeaways that you saw out of those games that can perhaps help you sort of predict or see into how we see the season coming ahead?
Well, for me, not so much. I think it's best for imports to have these sort of games, particularly new imports, because they're wanting to know their teammates, getting an understanding of the way the game is refereed, and they get to understand the lay of the land. I think it's good for someone like CJ Bruton to come in, and he hasn't coached as a head coach in the NBL before, gets to know his players, they build some sort of confidence. So I think that's good, but I don't think you can write teams off now either or learn much more than what I just said. So I think there's a lot more to learn in the first 6 games of the season as we start to see this thing unfold.
I kind of agree. I think it is very important for individuals. So what you alluded to there, like a coach like CJ Bruton, he's finding his feet because he came in late. He's learning his players and so forth. I think it's very important for your star players to find their way. So a guy like Nathan Sobey, I think it's important that he play well. Bryce Cotton, I thought he needed to play well and was a little bit off his game in the blitz. So if your top players are playing well coming out of the blitz, that's important for your team, Shane. And so I don't know that a team's results, like I wouldn't don't put any weight on the Bullets playing well at the Blitz as a team. I don't put any weight on Adelaide playing well as a team. I want to see if their key players are playing well, because I think in basketball, that's most important.
And I think the other thing is that coaches aren't giving you everything that they're going to use in game one.
Yeah.
They're not just setting it up for the other teams to be able to scout them. So they're giving a skeleton view of what their systems are and the way they want to play. There's got to be an element of surprise when tip-off happens this weekend.
But there are teams like the Jack Jumpers need to be going after. Sorry, Joe. Teams like the Jack Jumpers and the Taipans, they need to be trying to win everything.
Absolutely. I was just going to ask very quickly before we wrap things up, is there one player in particular that you're looking forward to seeing this season?
For me, I really want to see, I'm a bit biased because I worked with him up here, but I want to see Isaiah Moss, who was struck down by a hamstring injury and wasn't able to partake in the Blitz. But Shane, he is a high-level shooter. Not sure I've seen as fine a shooter in the NBL in the past 10 to 15 years, so I'm really keen to see him get out there and show what he can do.
I want to see Angus Glover, with what he's gone through and the persistence and the mental toughness to be able to stay with it after knee reconstructions, and seeing how tough and athletic he looks right now and the opportunities he's going to get for the Sydney Kings. I think it's going to be exciting.
And of course, Joe, you're ready to see Chris Golding, right?
Yeah, I love Chris. Can't wait to see him out there. He had an absolute killer game against the Phoenix yesterday. Loved it.
Whoop.
All right, that is points made. Thanks to Bet with Joel Hammer.
What do we got?
Joel have anything for you this week?
He does. He's going with the Pacers plus 4.5. They're going to bounce back against the Timberwolves. So that's a late mail from our man Joel.
Beautiful. All righty. Wrapping things up, Derek, thank you to you. Go away. Thank you to all our sponsors, as always, TCL 2K, Bet with Joel. You can watch us across all the News Corp platforms, across KO and Twitch as well. We'll see you guys next week.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.